Tonight, the rain returned quietly. Soft drops touched the window like gentle whispers from somewhere far away. Emma sat near the glass, watching the small trails of water slowly moving down the surface. The city outside was calm. Streetlights glowed softly, and reflections shimmered on the wet pavement below. Everything felt still, peaceful, as if the world itself had decided to slow down for just a moment. She wrapped her hands around a warm cup of tea, feeling the quiet comfort of the warmth against her fingers. Some nights feel different. Not louder, not brighter, just more meaningful. And tonight was one of those nights. Emma didn't know why, but she felt like something was about to happen. Not suddenly, not dramatically, just quietly, like the rain. She stood up slowly and walked closer to the window. The glass was cool to the touch. The rain continued falling, soft and steady. And then she noticed something, a small piece of paper, carefully placed between the frame and the window. At first, she thought it was nothing, just something carried by the wind. But something about it felt intentional, as if it had been left there for a reason. Her heart moved slightly, not fear, not confusion, just curiosity, gentle curiosity. She opened the window slowly. The night air entered softly, carrying the scent of rain. The paper moved slightly as she reached for it. Her fingers touched it carefully, and for a moment, she didn't open it. Sometimes we hesitate before reading something that might change everything. Finally, she unfolded the paper. Inside, there was only one line, written neatly, calmly, almost as if the writer knew she would read it slowly. "I never stopped thinking about you." Emma read the sentence again and again. The world around her felt quieter than before, because sometimes one sentence is enough to wake something inside your heart. She closed her eyes for a moment, and memories began to return, not all at once, but gently, like waves. Daniel, his name came back first, soft, familiar, warm. It had been a long time, long enough for days to become months, and months to become something that felt like distance, but not long enough to forget. They had met on a night very much like this one. Rain on the windows, quiet streets, soft light, and a conversation that had felt effortless from the very beginning. Daniel had a way of speaking that made everything feel calm, not rushed, not forced, just natural, like he was never trying to impress anyone, only to understand. They had spent hours talking that night, and the night after, and many evenings that followed quietly. Not every story begins loudly. Some stories begin in silence, in small moments, in simple conversations that slowly become something more. Emma walked back to the chair near the window, still holding the letter, still reading the same sentence over and over again. "I never stopped thinking about you." Why now, she wondered softly. Why tonight? The rain continued falling. The city remained quiet, but something inside her had changed. Because sometimes the past doesn't disappear. Sometimes it simply waits, waiting for the right moment to return. Emma looked outside again. The street below was empty, only the soft glow of lights and the sound of rain. No one was there, no sign of who had left the message. And yet, it didn't feel random. It felt intentional, personal, real. She placed the letter carefully on the table, but her eyes kept returning to it, as if it held more than just words, as if it carried a memory, a feeling, a possibility. The night grew deeper, the rain became softer, and Emma sat quietly between the past and the present. Because sometimes One letter left on a window is not just a message, it is a beginning. The night grew quieter, the rain softened, turning into a gentle rhythm that felt almost like breathing. Emma sat still, her eyes resting on the small piece of paper lying on the table. "I never stopped thinking about you." The words felt simple, but they carried something deeper, something that had waited for a long time. She stood up slowly and walked back to the window. The glass was still cool. Tiny drops of rain continued to slide downward, tracing quiet paths across the surface. She opened the window again, just slightly, just enough to feel the night air. "Daniel," she whispered softly, not expecting an answer, just letting the name exist again in the quiet space around her. For a moment, nothing changed. The street remained empty. The rain continued. The city stayed calm, and then she saw a figure standing across the street, not moving, not approaching, just standing quietly under the soft glow of a streetlight. Her heart moved gently, not with fear, not with shock, but with recognition. The kind of recognition that doesn't need explanation. She knew, before he even stepped closer, Daniel. He walked slowly toward the building, not rushing, not hesitating, as if he had already waited long enough, as if every step had been leading to this moment. Emma didn't move at first. She simply watched, listening to the soft sound of her own breath and the distant rhythm of rain. Then she opened the door. The hallway was quiet, dimly lit, filled with the same calm stillness as the night outside. She walked slowly down the stairs, each step soft, each moment feeling more real than the one before. When she reached the door, she paused, just for a second, because sometimes before everything changes, there is a moment of perfect stillness. Then she opened it. Daniel stood there, closer now, real, not a memory, not a thought, but real. For a moment they simply looked at each other, no words, no explanations, because some moments don't need them. "You found the letter," he said softly. Emma nodded. "Yes." Her voice was quiet, but steady. "I read it many times." Daniel smiled gently. "I hoped you would." The rain had almost stopped now. Only a few drops remained, falling slowly into the silence of the night. "I didn't know if I should come," Daniel said, "but I knew I had to try." Emma stepped slightly closer. The distance between them felt smaller than before, as if time itself had quietly moved them back to where they once were. "Why now?" she asked softly. Daniel looked at her with calm honesty. "Because I never stopped thinking about you," he said, "and I didn't want another night to pass without telling you that." The words felt simple, but real, and sometimes real is all that matters. They stood there in the quiet street, under soft light, with the last traces of rain fading into stillness. "Do you remember that night?" Emma asked gently. "The one when we first met?" Daniel smiled. "I remember everything." She smiled too. And for a moment, the past and the present felt like the same place. "Would you like to walk?" he asked. "Just for a little while." Emma looked at the quiet street, at the soft reflections of light, at the calm night that seemed to be waiting for them. "Yes," she said, "I would like that." They began walking slowly side by side, not speaking much, not needing to, because sometimes silence feels complete when you are with the right person. The city felt different now, warmer, softer, more alive. As they walked, Emma realized something simple but important. Some stories do not end. They pause, they wait, they continue when the time is right. They reached the end of the street where the lights grew softer and the night felt deeper. Daniel looked at her again. "I'm here now," he said quietly, "and I don't want to disappear again." Emma's heart felt calm, not rushed, not uncertain, just calm. "Then don't," she said softly. The night continued around them, quiet, gentle, full of possibilities, and somewhere behind them, on a quiet window, a small letter had done exactly what it was meant to do. Because sometimes, one message left in the right place at the right time can change everything.